Hello, everyone. Welcome to one simple technique to improve your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you can't tell already, the answer is in this particular word, reflection. And what we're going to do today is just use the Al-Fatihah, the opener, as an example. For those who don't know, this is the very first surah in the Holy Quran. And of course, like, I know this video, the title of the video says for Muslims only, but actually not only for Muslims, but this video is for all. But yeah, let's get to it. Before we get to the details of it, I just want to remind everyone that, the purpose of this channel is that this is actually a blog channel. So it's not about one specific topic. It could be literally about anything and everything that I care about. And I've kind of given like certain examples before, like, oh, these are the things that I care about right now. But then again, as I grow older, things could change, topics could change, and this list can become more, or I could be focusing on like certain other topics or etc. But yeah, today's topic is obviously, as you can see, related to religion. But yeah, let's get to it. What I want to explain is the fact that reflection is like a very important tool. I'm sure we all know about Surah Fatihah, right? Like we all say in our daily prayer, right? Like the worship, right? The 5 daily prayers. And I think most of us already even know the translation of Surah Fatihah, right? I think most of us do. I hope all of us and most of us do, right? But I think like we need to go one more step further, and that further step is reflection. And the reason that's so important is because once you do that, right, once you focus on the words, it will add so much more, in terms of like your faith, your iman, right? Because yes, we read the Fatiha in Arabic. Yes, we know the translation, but do we ever like sit down and really think about those words that are in the Fatiha? Like, do you ever really sit down and just literally think about each and every word and just ponder on it, And I guarantee you that if you guys do this for your own, and I mean, I'll go through like my own reflection, right? But if you guys do it through your own, I think that you'll just fall in love with Islam and, like with God, with Allah. Because Allah has given us so much, so much. But yeah, let's get to it, okay? Okay, so we'll start with 0, okay? So the way I organize this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 verses, right? So yeah, we'll go one by one, okay? All right. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. First verse. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So, I think this is like my favorite, right? Okay. All praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds. Like if we really think about this, we are very tiny human beings, right? Like wherever you live, whichever house, apartment, or wherever you live, whichever neighborhood you live in, from neighborhood it becomes like area, city, state, country, nation, earth, then solar system, then galaxy, then there's multiple galaxies, then there's multiple stars and multiple, like we still don't know how big this entire universe is, and it just makes you think like, oh my God, like we are literally like such small beings in this huge I'm sorry for the pauses. It's I'm literally pondering as we're recording the video, right? It's crazy. So it just makes sense. Like Lord of all worlds, like and then all praise is for Allah. It makes sense. Like all praise does belong to Him because you know, for the entity that created all these worlds, and not just worlds, right? But like all of creation, right? We are the creation, right? Human beings, all the animals, all the plants, all like these nature, Mother Nature, everything. Like this is all Allah's creation, right? So just this like one little verse, one small sentence, and it makes you ponder so much, right? But yeah, like I think we could spend hours on this. But okay, verse number 2. So Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most compassionate, most merciful, right? So we know, like, okay, we can even just like do like a simple definition of these words, right? Compassionate, right? Feeling or showing sympathy and concern for others, right? We know what compassion is, right? Like we are compassionate people, right? Like we show compassion for others, but we're just limited creatures. We're human beings, you know. This is the most compassionate. Like there's no limits with Allah. Like we can't even imagine the compassion that He has, and you know, I hope, inshallah, like, you know, we'll get to see it on the Day of Judgment, but we can't imagine that. Like, it's the most compassionate, the most merciful, right? Another thing, a definition of merciful, right? Bringing someone relief from something unpleasant. Like, we all know, like, how difficult life is. Like, there's so many unpleasant things that happen in our lives. I mean, forget our lives, even on a daily basis, right? So whenever that relief comes to us, whether that's through another human being, you know, like Allah makes the other human being help us, blah, blah, or whether that's through something else or whatever, it's that relief that's coming to us to, you know, get rid of the unpleasantness. That's mercy, right? And, but yeah, like people can show mercy to one another, but again, people have limits. But, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So, you know, just like, try to ponder on these words. It's like it's crazy. Like we can't even imagine it. It's like limitless. Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. Master of the Day of Judgment, right? That's pretty straightforward. We know how important this day is, right? Like our life, we have to make sure that we do good in our life so we can earn, basically so we can earn paradise, right? Another thing is that in terms of like pondering over what Allah has said, there's a verse in Surah 18, right? Surah Qaf, 18th, and then verses 47, which says, "Beware of the day we will blow the mountains away, and you will see the earth laid bare, and we will gather all humankind, leaving none behind." Just like, even with the first sentence, like, we will blow the mountains away. Like, can you imagine mountain? I mean, we're already kind of seeing that, right? Through global warming a little bit. Like, you know, the ice is melting and then blah, 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 and all that stuff, right? But just imagine, like, Mount Everest being blown away, turning to dust. All these mountains, all these amazing, beautiful hiking spots, right? In various countries, in various areas of the world, all of that being crumbling down, turning into dust, blown away. Like, you know, I mean, our imagination is like very small as human beings. Like, we can't even imagine. But yeah, I think we should try to imagine, right? Just to see, just to kind of like improve our relationship with God. But yeah, next verse. So yeah, let's see. Next is Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, right? You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. So I think like this relates to the very first one, right? We know, like, He is the Lord of all worlds. Like, these worlds are so huge, like we can't even like we can't even comprehend, right? Like we're so little creatures in this huge universe, right? So out of all of that, all of the things that Allah has created, all of the things that Allah has favored us with, you know, how can we worship anyone else, right? You alone we worship, right? And then the other things, you know, like for example, in the past, in the Quran, there's like stories, right? Like of I think pagans worshiping like idols, which I think like it just makes logical sense, right? And the Quran says it itself that how could you worship something that you created yourself? I think like that does make sense logically, right? Like if I made something myself with my own hands, let's say like a pottery of clay, and then I start worshiping that, like that doesn't make sense, right? Because that clay did not create me, right? But yeah, like it's like related to this, right? Because all praise is for Allah, Lord of all the worlds. We know He created all of these things, these huge worlds, all of creation, all of everything, and everything, and everything, and everything. So He deserves all that worship. He deserves that worship, right? And then you alone we ask for help. Of course, He deserves all that worship, and He alone deserves our request for help. Yes, like we ask, other people for help in our lives, right? But in our hearts, inside, we know that it's God, it's Allah who is the master, who is the controller of everything, right? And if He wills it, then whatever we desire, we will get that, right? Like I'll give you a simple example, right? Um, for example, let's say that somebody is sick and like somebody needs surgery, right? Like of course, like you would ask the surgeon, like, oh surgeon, please help me, please help me, I need your help, I need your expertise. And then yeah, of course, so sure, like the surgeon agrees, right? Okay, so now the surgeon is performing the surgery. Now when the surgery is actually happening, I guarantee you, I'm pretty sure that you will be praying to God, saying that, oh God, oh Allah, please make sure that the surgery is successful. You won't be saying, oh surgeon, please make sure the surgery is successful. Like you won't be praying that, right? Because even the surgeon is a human, and everything is in the hand of God. So ultimately, we know that we ask for His help. Okay, next one. Let's see. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to a straight path. I think, there's not much that needs to be said here. I think that's pretty straightforward. There are a lot of paths in life. There's obviously we all know there's good things, there are bad things, right? And sometimes the bad things look easy. Sometimes the bad things look, I guess tempting or whatever you want to call it. But there's a reason it's right and wrong, right? And Allah has taught us that. And the yeah, like that's the prayer that we ask of Him, that please guide us along the straight path, because the devil comes to us every day. Every day there's temptations, right? Every day there's a thing that we might, we say like little lies, right? Like we do like minor things. We lie to people, we do that. Sometimes we're selfish, right? Sometimes we're arrogant. Like those are all like small little things, right? Which are wrong, which we need to improve upon. But like we all know, like the devil comes to us every day, and it's like a daily fight. It's a daily struggle. It's a daily struggle with yourself, right? Because we have been taught like what is right, but sometimes we get astray. So that's why it's important that we also ask Allah for this help, right? Because please guide us along the straight path. And I hope He does. I hope we all get guidance, myself included. Last but not least, so guide us along the straight paths, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with or those who are astray. So pretty straightforward, the paths of those you have blessed, right? Blessed, for example, examples would be the prophets, right? Allah is happy with those prophets. Allah, like we know, the prophets are an example for us, right? Like they've showed us through their actions, like this is the correct path. Like this is how we should be doing things, and not those you are displeased with. For example, I guess going back to the example that said, right, like of if I were to make a pottery of clay or something, I started worshiping that. Like that is huge displeasure. That is like a huge crime, right? Obviously, we all know what that crime is in Islam, right? And then of course, and those who are astray. All in all, I think that I hope this helps. And I hope it helps you remember that, like basically like reflection is a very powerful tool for improving your faith. It's not just about knowing the Fatihah and various other surahs and whatever that we read, and not just about like knowing them in Arabic. It's not just about knowing their translation, right? Like whether it's English or whatever language that's relevant to you, right? It it goes a step further that when you actually try to reflect on each of the words in the verses, right? And the more stronger your faith becomes, the more stronger your love becomes, the more you. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's it's like the best. It's like a high. I I I don't know what's the right word for it, but it really is. The more we reflect, the more we fall in love with it. And to give you a little other certain examples or suggestions, in Surah number 16, verse 11 through 15, they're like really good examples of where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that, reflecting on this, reflecting on that, reflecting on that. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but, feel free to go to the respective surah and then the verses. All in all, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great, pleasant day/evening. Bye bye.